Hello, everybody. This is Ketshi1383 with Ketshi Gaming, covering episode 72 of the Epic Store Weekly Free Game. In this case, games. So, this week's games are Homeworld Remastered, which includes both Homeworld 1 and Homeworld 2, and Severed Steel. So, Severed Steel is another repeat, which Epic has a tendency to do if people actually pay attention to my series at all. Sometimes you'll see that I skip a week, and I should probably just put out a little something, a video saying, yeah, this is just a duplicate that they've put out before. So usually I don't cover it when it does that. Next week is a unique situation in which it's a game they put out before, but I wasn't covering it at the time. I can't remember. I think it might have been the 12 Days of Christmas series when they were giving the game away every day that I covered Steel series. So if you're really interested, you can find that one. Listen to my cringe caroling, I guess. So let's talk about the Homeworld Remastered. So when I was a kid, this game was infamous for being hard. I should say teenager, not so much kid. But this game came with little guides included in the box. It was so hard. I bought it sometime in the early 2000s, maybe early 2000 teens, before the remastered copy came out. So it came with guides, but I never used them, and I didn't have trouble beating the game. I think a lot of people had issues because it's not like your Command and Conquers or StarCraft games where it's just a 2D plane, maybe with some terrain. This is space. It has a Z axis. You can actually control units and tell them to go up or down and attack from multiple directions, not just on a single plane. And that's sort of more or less my hypothesis of maybe why people struggled with it, because they weren't used to that elaborate of movement when it came to strategy games, and probably still aren't. So in terms of Homeworld Remastered, it plays very similarly to Homeworld back when it was initially launched. Because of that third dimension, the controls are a touch on the clunky side, to say the least. Some things that I want to do to sort of explore the map aren't exactly intuitive. Like, I kept trying to use the WASD keys to sort of shift the map around, and you have to use the mouse to do that, while those keys serve as hotkeys for different functions. And on top of that, there's going to be a lot of action that you're going to see that happens from a distance. You're not going to see too much of it, which is probably a little off-putting for some people, where you have to zoom into a very specific part of the map, which the way they handle it's a bit odd. But aside from the awkward movement, it's pretty solid for the most part. It definitely adds a layer of strategic thinking when it comes to beating the game. I kind of put myself into a corner in which I almost max out my fleet of ships, and then there's like a scenario where you can take control over a bunch of ships, and I took over so many. I had like 3 times the ships I was allowed to have, which made the very last mission kind of difficult because they were so spread out. It took a really long time for my fleet to get to where they needed to be without something being blown up that was needed to not be blown up. So for people who want fast-paced sort of strategy games, this is not going to be for you. This is going to take a while to get things done, just even traveling from point A to point B before you see any action. So if you don't have the patience for a slower paced strategy game, this is not going to be for you. Don't get me wrong, it was a fun game when it came out, and maybe one day I'll return to the remastered version, but for now I'm just going to say give it a try. It's free until Thursday, 10 a.m. Central Time. And if you made it this far, thanks for watching. Have a good one.